So when we look at having a healthy, happy pelvic floor, we have to look beyond the pelvic floor itself. It is a muscle that never works in isolation or alone. We know it can close our holes, we know it supports our organs, but we also know that it works hand in hand with other muscles all day long in a more macro view of it's our core, it's our deep core. So this isn't our six pack. I'm not talking about planks and sit-ups. I'm talking about the muscle group that helps us maintain a good posture all day long. This is the muscle group that wraps around us like a corset and holds everything in so that we have good gut motility and bowel movements. This is what helps us to increase pressure so that we can lift heavy loads up off the ground without our backs kind of collapsing or getting a herniated disc or a hernia or something like that. So when we look at last stage pelvic floor care, we always bring people towards their core work. What are you doing in the gym to work on your core? If that is planks or sit-ups, that's great. Let's just make sure that you know how to turn this inner unit on alongside whatever exercise you're doing, because technically this should be working all day long. But what we see in most adults is this unit can kind of become dormant or can get deconditioned, and we can go our whole lives without really realizing that. And so it's not a matter of, oh, I hurt. Sometimes it is, but a lot of the times when this unit is off, you don't really know it unless you know it. And so that's what hopefully we're going to show you today is how do I know if I'm using this? What exercises can I do to isolate it, to connect to it? And then how can I train it? What things do I need to do in the gym to make sure that I'm staying connected to this inner unit? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to use the word transverse abdominis today. So this is a muscle. This is the one that wraps all the way around us like a corset. It is the outside of the canister. Our pelvic floor is the bottom and our diaphragm is the top. We've talked this month about the pelvic floor and the diaphragm with our connection breath. Today, we're going to focus more on this outside muscle so that way all three work together, they're strong, and then we can have happy and healthy pelvic floors and cores for the rest of our lives. So here are a couple of drills that we give often in the clinic that are going to help you to get connected to your inner unit and then train it accordingly. So we're going to start with what's called a dead bug. This is an exercise that's kind of done a lot. We find that it's done normally a little sloppy. So we're going to be really nitpicky and show you how we like to give it to make sure that you're turning on your inner unit. So when we look at the unit itself, the marker of a good contraction is that it is drawing us in and flattening our bellies versus our bellies kind of pushing out, kind of tenting out or kind of bulging out. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start the easiest of how to connect, and then I'm going to show you kind of how to progress, and you're just going to kind of find where are you on this continuum. So what you're going to do is you're going to lay back. I have it where you can see my belly. I think it's really important that you can see your tummy because a lot of this is going to be visually inspecting your belly. So you're going to lay back. We're going to start with the beginning of a connection breath, but as opposed to on and off, we're going to hold it. So you're going to inhale, then you're going to blow out. And I want you to think about zipping all the way up. So you can do a little bit of a pelvic floor lift, but I want you to think about this contraction coming all the way up to your rib cage. Like you had a zipper zipping up. So you're going to pull your tummy away from your pant line. You can think about your belly button coming down towards the floor. And then I want you to think about your ribs wrapping towards each other. So I'll do that again for you. It's going to be an inhale first. Blow out. Lift your pelvic floor. Continue to blow out while you zip up, 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 up. When you do that, your back might gently fill the floor, but what I don't want is a hard shoving back of your back or pelvis. So this is kind of overriding the system and using your glutes to do the job as opposed to truly zipping up from the inside out. So I see that a lot of people who are weak in their tummies, they'll go, oh, I can do it, and they'll just shove their backs back and shove their ribs down, which just kind of inherently kind of pushes out. And it's like, nope, we want to truly zip up from the inside. So once you get zipped up, You're going to hold. Now, I'm breathing in and out, but I am not losing this zip. So inhales are hard because all I want to do is let go, but I'm going to inhale into tension. And then as I exhale, I can think about zipping up a little bit more in case I lost it. So now what we're going to do is you're going to add in some leg movement to challenge the ability to keep this on. So I am going to lift a foot. I'm going to have you do it though on an exhale. So you're going to blow out, lift a foot, and bring it back down. As you put your foot down, do not lose tension. You have to focus really hard here to continue to zip, zip, zip. So I'm having a lot of tension here in my tummy. I'm going to lift up. And I'm going to lift up. And this might be where some of us start. If you find your back moving, if you find I cannot exhale, I want to and hold my breath to do the lift, that would mean this is too hard for you. And this is where we need to stay until you're able to blow out, zip up, and lift seamlessly. I want you to be mindful of what it feels like here at the beginning to be zipped up. Your belly should be flat. I'm not talking about your fat and skin. Everybody has fat and skin here. I'm talking about the abdominal wall beneath it. So feel around. It should feel like a tarp pulled tight. And that should stay that way. But what happens is the longer I go, if my belly starts to tent up, I'm slowly losing the ability to hold this contraction. That's why we want you to pause and really make sure that you're tapping into those exhales and kind of, we call re-upping every single rep to really bring it all the way back down each time. Then what we can do is we can make it harder by adding a second foot. So I'm going to get set. I'm zipped up as small as I can get. I'm going to pick up this foot, and then as I pick up this second foot, that's normally a lot harder to pick up that second foot without wanting to immediately arch my back, push my belly forward. Now, if I were to not turn my inner unit on, pick 2 feet up and march, I can kind of do this all day long, but my back kind of hurts and I can tell everything is pushing out. But if I were to really zip up, lift, lift, and focus on staying tight, maybe I can add a little bit kick. Now this is hard. I feel lots of tension here. I feel my belly drawing in. I feel my back wanting to move, but I'm not letting it. So generally people do this wrong by just like blowing through this really fast. They've got all their limbs moving. But if I check in, they have pushed out and their bellies are operating out here. They didn't at all zip in. So we're going to zip in first and let that be the thing that we pay attention to. So for me, after a while, if I do this wrong, my belly will start to dome and look like this. But if I stop, blow out, and re-zip up, I can flatten it back out. So you need to do that as many times as you need, or slow down enough, or don't move your legs. Most of the time, people are kicking out way too far to really stay tapped in. So your belly should be flat. Your bones should not move. And then the last thing that we ask you to do is just tap into this inner feeling of like, am I pulling in or am I pushing out? And there is a vibe, like there is an innate feeling of, did this exercise get so hard that now I'm pushing out? And if I were to talk, I would sound like this. You're no longer using that unit. Think about that corset. You've unzipped it and you're pushing out against that dress that you're wearing or whatever that is. We want to always make sure that we have that zipped up, and then we add the hard thing. And if you can be really good to only add one hard thing at a time, you'll see that this muscle will get stronger. It will be on longer. Your belly will draw in more. You'll feel core work more in your tummy, less like in your hip flexors or in your neck. Your pelvic floor now has the freedom to move because it has a friend that's strong and working with it. So over time, you'll see the fruits of this. And so we like to give this as the isolated work. But then in your gym or your workout program, what we have you do is if I'm going to do any sort of isolated core work, a plank, a sit-up, a Russian twist, whatever that is, I want to first just say, hey, draw in. So I'm going to have you blow out and zip up, then do the thing. If I'm doing a plank and I can no longer do it without sounding like this, maybe I need to make the plank easier to get that inner unit on first and then add the plank on to it. Or look at that plank and make sure that you're not doming out like this here. It just takes discipline, maybe backing up a little bit and making sure you're adding in this cue. I think if you can be consistent with this, you'll see that your core work will take off. You'll feel better, your back will feel better, your joints will feel better, you'll be leaking less because you've truly strengthened from the inside out. So, want to give this one a go? We generally say go until you can't go anymore. It's not going to be as long as you think. You're going to fatigue out sooner than you think. Give this a go. I like to warm up with this before my workout, as I'll do kind of some dead bug marching, and then I kind of move into my bigger core work because I've connected to and warmed up this inner unit. So give that a go and let us know how it goes.